We're rolling. Try again. We're rolling. Action. What's up, guys? Welcome to this YouTube series, the first of many, where I would like to introduce you and talk to you and give you some more information of all my knowledge. First and foremost, my name is Marco. I'm the co-owner of M Studio, and this inspiring video came from James Matthew. I'll leave the link below where you can check him out. If you don't know who is James Matthew, he's just an amazing artist and filmmaker. He lives in Essex, and the inspiration of this video came up from him when he was talking about how much you should charge. So if you're starting on this new business the same way I did not long ago, it comes with costs. And when we talk about technology, equipment, especially if you're like me, that you have a studio, everything here has a cost. So I'm gonna go through some points on top of James Matthew points that you will have to make once deciding how much to charge. There are very good points on James Matthew YouTube video, and I'll leave that one in the description below as well. There are many factors that will affect how much do you charge. I'm personally based in London. I know James Matthew is based in Essex, so not too far. However, the costs there change already because of the location. I am not entirely sure if James has a studio the same way I do, but for me, I'll need a studio. On top of this studio, I've got also an office, and from there I'll work, I'll do my job, and I'll make sure that I provide the right service. Now, you don't have to have a studio, not necessarily straight away at least, and this is where I'm going through, I will go through with you and making sure you get the main reason why you should need a studio, why you actually don't need a studio. Most of the videographers actually, I don't think they do need a studio, but just in case, you know, like if you're very curious of why I have a studio, this is the reason being. First of all and foremost, I would like to say this is my personal experience. I'm not an expert here. Quick give an introduction of myself. I started the studio around a year ago now. Before that, I used to do some videos for hobby, but I always studied computer and post-production. So this is mainly, it was my passion. How I introduced myself to videos, it's basically I was doing a few photo shoots and fitness photo shoot, and from there I got introduced to the camera, and from the camera I got a bit of obsession, and here I am now. The studio is more for my fashion videography, so it depends really on what you would like to focus and concentrate. So the fact is, when you do fashion videography, sometimes you do need a studio. This kind of studio is slightly different from all other videographer studios because it's also for a photo shoot, while the other videography studio, they create scenes within the studio, and that's a thing that you could actually do. It's just something that I'm not used to, and I do just yet. It's something that I would like to try in the future. So now, how much would you have to charge for your work? First of all and foremost, I will go through some James point, and some of them they're actually mine because they apply with my situation. And this is why I just wanted to make the points. And also, if you like to have a studio on your own, I think you should consider this. So basically, you have to think, will I be using the studio? And it's a simple yes or no answer. If you're like, oh yeah, I'll need a studio because sometimes I'll be using it, you'll have to kind of play with it. Will you use it more than once, twice a month or not? Will it cover your cost or not? Do you have the right equipment? The equipment in the studio are very, very expensive as well. So it's some extra cost that you have to think about. And when you charge the person or you charge your client, you have to think about, will I be using the studio? What equipment will I be using? Is there any pre-production? Is there any post-production work to be done? And just within that, you will try to decide the price. Other factors to think about, is this a regular job? Let's be honest, like if we get like a job that is gonna be like one job every year or so, we'll have to charge, unfortunately, but that's the case, you know, we'll have to charge a bit more just because the job is not consistent. And when it comes on consistency, the price drops slightly. I basically started with no studio, and what happened is I built up my clients. Once I had regular clients that come here quite often, I decided, okay, it's time for me. I've got my clientele. I'm still building up, to be fair, my clientele, but once you got regular, it's slightly easier as you got on a consistent income as well. And that's, I'm not saying that's a safe thing to do, but I personally rather go with someone that loves my job, know what I do, and takes me for regular jobs than someone who does it, pays me quite a lot, but it doesn't give me any work, because at the end it's also about my creative process and I like to push myself, and by doing that it's also about the amount of job that I do. However, I try to don't overwhelm myself like I did in the past. I remember that like there was a month where I had so much job to do that I just closed myself in the studio, and all I've done for a whole month it was post-production. And as much as I love computers, as much as I love post-production, that was quite a push. Now let's put it in numbers. Realistically speaking, how much do we charge? I do the same thing as James does. I charge per day, and my cost per day, again, if it's within the studio and it's let's say a fashion editing video, I charge 450 per day. So it's 450 plus. Normally for a fashion one, it takes a bit more editing because there are more effects and colors involved and color correction involved. So it would be like between 2 and 3 days of editing. But if there's no studio required, I would charge 300. And I know it's like 150, but that's the amount that I have to charge for. First of all, the studio, and within the studio there is rent, there is electricity, there is gas, even if that's not the case in here because at the moment it's like literally 38 degrees. And there is also my equipment. All my equipment cost money and is insured, so that costs extra money. And on top of that, there are some other factors. Now you'll be like, okay Marco, probably it counts the same if you have to travel. And I would say absolutely. Like if you do travel and you go somewhere else, especially if someone outside your country, it's amazing that you get to travel and to go outside your country. But if the costs of the travel and the cost of the accommodation are not included in the price, I would say that you are undervaluing yourself, because your job has a value and your time has value too, because it's like just related. So I would say if you go abroad and you get the chance to go abroad, that's amazing. I would still charge for the flight and accommodation as a minimum spend. Now, I don't say you have to do that. This is what I do, and this is how I do charge the costs. And it started, the beginning, it's always quite tough. I remember when I started, I actually charged £30 per hour. I was charging hourly. Then I soon realized that if I charge per hour, yes, it's there, but the client doesn't actually see the like, it doesn't see behind it what happened, but it just see the active hour. So for them, if you go for a shooting and you shoot for, like, let's say 4 or 5 hours, this is the actual job that you done. They don't see the post process part of it, and they don't see the pre-production part of it. And I think this is a bit of a misconception around and among people who actually don't work in videography. Wanted to keep it nice and short, so this is the main thing. Once again, I hope you enjoy the video, and please start subscribing. It's just something that I start new. If you got any question about the studio, where is in London, what's in there, or how did it come up, or any questions, just pop it down, and I'll try to make a new video about it. If you want to see another video of, like, my fashion work, or you want to see about my weddings or something, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do.